Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Growing Up as Overrated podcast. My name is Jen, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, T. Happy New Year! This is the time of year that often involves setting goals and trying to improve oneself. But what does that really mean? How do you set goals when so many factors are out of your control? Well, this week we are going to discuss goal setting and how we can make realistic goals for ourselves. Now, into the podcast.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Jen.
Happy New Year!
It's not like Frosty the Snowman. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! No, it's Happy New Year.
Yeah. So this New Year's is my favorite holiday. I love a new beginning. I love a fresh start. And I'm excited to get into the typical conversation about New Year, new me, new islands. And
yeah, we've for the audience, we've both decided to completely redo our Animal Crossing New Horizons islands. So New Year, new us, new islands has been our motto.
Yes, so yeah, I'm really excited to just kind of get into basically how I go about making my resolutions and a little bit of a different tactic that I personally do that isn't just like, here are my goals for the year, let's see if I can do them. But I'll get into that more in a little bit here.
Yeah, I have always struggled with resolutions. So I kind of gave up on them the past couple of years because I always felt like I would set a goal and then I wouldn't achieve it and then I would feel bad about myself. So I decided, okay, if I can't achieve my goals and it makes me feel bad, then I'm just not going to set any goals, which is obviously not the right way to approach the situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this year, under your guidance and pushing me, I have made some resolutions for the year and thought back over my year and tried to do something different this time.
Yay for friendships making us better.
Yeah, so what are some hopes that you have, T, or do you want to start with last year and first?
So I was looking, trying to figure out what did I want for last year. And so last year on this time I had just left my job, and I was looking for so what I do every New Year's is I set a theme for my year. So it's just one word, and that word means whatever I make it to mean. So last year I began with I think it was going to be refresh, because I was like, okay, I'm leaving my job, I'm burnt out, and I just want to refresh myself, take better care of myself, self-care, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that meant taking care of doctor's appointments that I'd been putting off, and also really pouring into my mental health and what I needed for that. Reading more, going on walks, taking care of my dog, spending time with my plants, meditating. And so I feel like I did a pretty good job at that. But I was also kind of forced to because of COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I switched the word at one point in the year, and I cannot remember what it was. Which I didn't do that great of a job of that, but I just knew that I wanted this year to be this past year to be anti-burnout, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my main thing for last year. But I don't know if you want me to go into what I want to do for this year, or if you want to go into last year.
I'll go into last year a little bit, and then we can both go into 2021 together.
Okay.
Whoop whoop.
Yes. Whoop, whoop.
Well, okay, last year at this time, I had just moved back home from university, because I completed my degree in December. So I was just moving home. I was very excited. I was jumping into searching for a job, and that was my main goal for the year. I was like, I want to find a job in my field and move out of my parents' house. That was the overarching thing that I wanted to do. And that didn't end up happening. Like my initial goal was like, I want to move out by March, which obviously
Ha.
did not happen. And then I kept like, as soon as COVID happened, I like kicked it down the line. I was like, oh, it'll take a few more months, maybe a few more, maybe a few more. And now I've kind of come to the conclusion of okay, it'll happen when it happens. I don't know
Yeah.
when. But I did manage to find a job after months and months and months of discouragement and beating myself up over not being good enough and just being very unsure of myself. And I eventually got one. And there were a couple things that I did this year that I didn't plan on doing, but turned out to be really good, such as finding some online friends. Um,
Yeah,
that
that was really uncharacteristic.
Yeah, that was super not me. I'm not somebody who puts themselves out there and meets people. I'm really bad at that in real life, so making friends was a big achievement for me when I looked back on the year. Starting this podcast was another thing that I never thought that I would do, but we did
Yes.
it, and it feels really good. I helped out with election stuff over the summer and into the fall, did absentee ballot things, and that made me feel good. It made me feel like I was serving the community and really making a difference. So, like, yes, this year sucked. I stayed at home. I didn't move out, and that's still disappointing to me. But I did a lot of stuff that made me feel good. So, all in all, like, this year wasn't so bad on a personal level.
Yeah, I think everybody kinda gets caught up with, like, "Oh, the world events were so terrible," which I'm not belittling that. I understand, like, this was, like COVID has been and continues to be a big deal, right? But this happens, like, I feel like every New Year's, everyone's like, "Ew, that year was so crap. Put it back," you know? "I don't want it anymore." But it's like, okay, like, even a year that you could say more negative things happened than positive things, you can still like, look at it and go, "Oh, yeah, like, I learned from this," right? Like, this
Mhm.
grew me as a person. This helped me become more patient. This helped, like, there's always something, a silver lining that can come out of a
Absolutely.
situation like that, you know? And so, I don't know, it just kind of shows you that, like, yeah, I know, like, we all kind of feel like blowing off steam by venting about things is helpful, but, at the end of the day, like, you if you're going to do that, you should probably wrap it up with, like, a little bit of gratitude for what you did learn even in a hard situation, you know?
Mhm. Like, I really like, when I initially sat down to reflect on the year, I was like, "This year sucked. I achieved nothing of what I wanted, and blah, 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 blah." And then as I examined more about it, I was like, "I actually got a lot done this year." And, like and sometimes and it felt like I really got bogged down by the world view of this year sucked. And it did for the world, it was a terrible year. But personally, I achieved a lot, and it was good to remind myself that good things happened, and it wasn't
Yes.
just awful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that because when I first was like, Let's do resolutions," you're like, "Ugh." Like, I'm glad that you ended up coming out with some positive things,
Mhm. And
yeah.
with that, what do you want for next year? What's looking forward?
Alright, so this year now,
Oh,
the
well, yeah, I guess it is.
2021, I have set my theme for action is my word.
Ooh.
So, last year I spent the whole year working on my happiness, my mental health, because I had been just a racehorse or yeah, like a racehorse or like a hamster on a wheel for, you know, since school. Like for many, many years.
Mhm.
And, like, they say it takes something like 7 months per year of burnout that you've had to, like, recover from each year of burnout, but,
Ooh, ooh,
like
ouch.
yeah, so, like, it's a real struggle, but, I think now that I'm in a happier place, my mood's generally more stable, I feel like I'm able to really start taking action and accountability for my goals and my, like, aspirations as an adult, right? So,
Mhm.
um, I haven't like, I've been unemployed for a year now, but, like, I'm not really that upset about it. Like, I feel like I should be upset about it, but I'm not because I, like, did not want to be out in the world during COVID stuff. Um,
Don't blame you.
yeah, like, and so if I have the support from, family and partner, then, like, it it's been fine. So this year, I will get a job. This year, once I get a job, I will be saving money, and I will, prepare myself to move out probably sometime in the beginning of 2022.
Whoop
Um,
whoop.
and then I just want to, work on having more active days, so, like, having general movement in my day and being less sedentary. Um So
Mhm.
that's not just, like, killing it in the gym, even though I really love, like, weightlifting and playing volleyball and stuff. Realistically, the earliest I would be able to play volleyball is probably sometime in the summer after everyone gets their vaccines. Um, but, like, I also know that that's not realistic, and so in order to make myself just, like, be more accommodated to the idea of moving more and making less excuses for getting up and doing things, including, like, cleaning around the house and that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's, what I have down.
Those are good ones though. We have some in common. Um, my 2021, I have 6 goals written down, but they're not huge, I don't think. Number 1 is that, like, this as being my friend, I've really struggled with my mental health this year. I've gotten a lot done in my personal life, but just, like, my brain has just not been good. I've had really big swings of feeling good and feeling bad, and it just has not been good. So, at some point this year, I will go to the doctor, and I will talk to them about this, and I will
Good.
address it. I
Yes.
will do that. It may not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but by the end of this year, I will do it.
You'll be so
And
much happier.
I am making the commitment that
Yes.
that will get done. Along with that, I also want my physical health to be better. I mean, huge surprise, being stuck inside my house all year has not made me be very healthy
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
I have bad habits of just sitting in my room all day because my room is not only my office for my job, it's also where I hang out and play games, where I talk to my friends, and where I do basically everything in my life. So I sit in this small room all day, and that's just not good for me. It's not good for my mental health either to be in the same place
Yeah,
all the
definitely.
time.
Yeah.
So I am gonna try to go on walks during my lunch breaks and just generally go on walks at least once a week.
Yeah.
I want to not once a week, 4 times a week. Once a week is too low. 4 times a
Okay.
week, I will go on a walk. So, yeah, I will go on walks at least 4 times a week, which I am really wanna do. I'm also gonna cut back on ordering out for lunch. I do that a lot. I know that that's not good for me.
It's so hard.
It's so hard, but I'm gonna try to do it twice a month and try to stick to that. I think that's
Like,
fair.
only eating out twice a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it a lot now. I do it, like, once a week, sometimes twice.
Yeah, my boyfriend is a real driver for eating out a lot.
Yeah, it's just a problem. I need to not do it so much. Um, 3, I wanna maintain relationships. I'm really bad at letting people drop out of my life if I don't talk to them.
Yeah, I get that.
And yeah, so I wanna improve on that. I wanna talk to people that I know and keep relationships going. I wanna move out, but as we previously discussed, that kinda depends on when the world just gets back in order. So,
Yeah.
I'm not setting a strict timeline for that. Just at some point,
Yeah,
I'd like to do that.
that's more of a back burner, like, would be nice if it happened this year, but understand that it, might get kicked back a little bit
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be devastated that doesn't happen, but it is something that I'd like. I want to write
Yeah.
in a journal.
Okay.
I'm bad at journaling. I've tried this multiple years to
Mhm.
actually keep a consistent journal and it just never happens. So I'd like to do that. And 6, I'd like to see people IRL again.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
gosh. No, okay,
what?
go ahead and finish your thing, and then I'll tell you what that just made me think of.
Because like I miss just seeing people face to face, and I wanna do that just in general, and that's it. I don't think any of those are completely unachievable goals, and that was really
Yeah.
what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that I didn't set the bar too high
Uh-huh.
because I've done that before.
Yep.
I've been like, oh, I'm gonna work out 5 times a week, like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's not
I'm
realistic.
gonna become a gym rat even though I don't like the gym, like
Yeah, it's just unrealistic. It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, okay, so when you said that you wanna see people in real life, I was, like, thinking about how I was in Target before Christmas, because I thought I was going on a trip to a wedding, and then we ended up canceling it because of COVID, and we were just like, "This is just isn't a good idea." But anyway, I was in Target, like, getting some stuff for our trip, and then I was like I I found myself, like, standing by like, kind of close to the employees, just, like, listening to their conversations that they were having because I just wanted that camaraderie that happens in person. Like, I kind of missed that from, like, working retail and just, like, working in a job, like, being like, just, like, chatting with your coworkers. Like, you take that for granted, um,
Mhm.
a lot of the time, I feel like, and then I just realized that I've missed that, so that'll be something that'll be really great, when I get back into a job situation.
Mhm, and I can tell you that working remotely, you don't really have those casual conversations either,
Yeah. Yeah, I
so
figured.
that's been hard. Because I see these people all the time on video calls, but we never talk about anything. I don't know anything about them, and that's just weird. Because if we were going to work in real life, I would have side conversations with people,
Yes,
and
you
I would
would.
actually know something
Yep.
about them, but
Just like in
in r
class.
yeah, exactly, but in a remote environment, it's like, you don't ever talk to people unless you need to talk to them for some reason. So,
Yeah.
mm, but yeah.
New year, new us, new island.
Yep. So, like, how do you set goals? How do you look back at your year and think about what you want in life?
Yeah, so I think that's where the whole, like, theme thing comes in. Um, so one of my favorite people to watch on YouTube, especially around New Year's, is, her name is Michelle. I think her, like, username is Michelle Ebb, but it's Michelle B. Um, but she just really talks about, setting intentions and figuring out how you're actually going to do action, right? Um, and just, like, knowing yourself, I think, like, the older you get, the more you know yourself, hopefully. So,
I'd hope so. It'd
um
kinda be hard to know yourself less.
it happens, but, uh, it's if you just know yourself and you know, like, what you will and won't do, then you can set more realistic goals, right? So, sometimes it's just about when can I make a meeting for myself to do this thing, you know? And so that's why I just really love the theme of the year thing
Mhm.
because it is just very helpful for you to contextualize, like, what does action mean? Or what does trying to think of some of the other ones. One time I set my year goal as like being like more graceful. Because and not meaning like I want to be like a ballerina. Like not like, that like it was just more like I want to be more gracious towards others, more forgiving towards others, more patient. Um, so I kind of go on a cycle, I feel like, where it's like relationship year, personal year, finance year.
Mhm.
Like I just feel like it makes it easier to kind of just focus on one area of your life. And the more that you scatter things, the more it's just like a huge mountain that like topples over you.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm not saying that your goals aren't achievable because I think that they definitely are. Um, but starting small and being gracious towards yourself, I think, is really the best thing that you could do for goals, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I've already mentioned how a couple of times I've tried like I'm going to lose weight and then like I get on it for a few weeks and I exercise and I do all these things and then I fall off of the wagon.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work. Like you got to set something that you think I can do that
Yeah.
and keep that up.
Yeah.
And maybe like and the other thing is that like goals that are set at the beginning of the year are not be all end alls. You can
Yes.
adjust them
You
and
can
do
adjust
different
them.
things with them. And maybe, for example, like maybe I get to the point where I'm like, wow, these short walks are not doing it for me anymore. Maybe I need to step it up and do something else.
Yeah.
Like you can adjust them. And also, years are a social construct. Your year can begin and end whenever you want. Like if you're listening to this podcast like in March, like you can set goals for yourself in March.
Dude, yeah,
Like
that's another thing I wanted to say was that I often use my birthday as a kind of a second New Year's, even though it's really close to New Year's, like November to January, but like I love just saying like, okay, what does being 22 mean to me? What does being 23 mean? Um, like because it kind of helps. I don't know, it kind of helps you contextualize what it means to for your expectations of yourself,
mhm.
to be a certain age. And
Yeah.
also like a mid-year or like a quarterly kind of check in with how you're doing on your goals for the year.
Absolutely. I just
Mhm.
feel like sometimes, especially with New Year's resolutions, people set their goals and then they get to a month in and then they drop them. And they're like, well, that's it for the whole year. I'm like, you can do self improvement whenever you want. You don't have
Yeah,
to wait for some arbitrary date to roll around to be like, I'm going to self improve now because it's the beginning of the year.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
you can
being
always do stuff.
being a lifelong learner, that actually also means implementation, right? So, one of the things I was listening to recently was talking about how just because you've read something before doesn't mean that's all you can get out of it, right? So, say you read a self-help book or you listened to some sort of spiritual text or, whatever you do to kind of help put you in your space for self-improvement,
Hmm.
rereading it and revisiting it, you'll get something completely different out of it. So, I just encourage people, like, if you have, like, a book that you really loved, don't think that just because you closed the book on that book, the cover on that book rather, um,
The door on the
that
book.
sure,
The
yeah, like, I don't know, that it that means it's all over because you can still get more out of that, and, um, your fresher, more mature eyes will, um, see something more, important to you at this very moment, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, it's just important to realize that self-improvement is a lifelong process. You're not going to become the person that you wanna be in a day. It's gradual.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely is.
So it's important to when you structure your goals to not set the end goal, but set stepping stones to get to that goal.
Right. Yeah. step like, baby steps are definitely the key to it because like, with working out, right? I have been doing physical therapy for my back, um, because COVID I'm pretty sure the reason is because COVID had me sitting on my tuchus too long. So, um, but I've been in physical therapy, and because I had accountability with this physical therapist to do all my workouts and stuff, I was like, "Well, I have to at least do my physical therapy workouts twice a week." Like, that's what he said. He said minimum twice a week. So I'm like, "Okay, well, if I'm accountable to him, then, I can at least do this twice a week." Um, but then it kind of gets me craving more activity, in other places, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know if you've experienced that, but, like, me being, like, having more of an athlete's background, um, like, I hated conditioning, um, but I loved how it made me feel when I was done with it. And I would start craving to run, which I've always hated running, or craving to lift weights. And so I don't know. I think you'll just surprise yourself with just doing like with journaling a sentence a day, you know. Um, but planning in time to do those things, I think, is really key. Like if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And that's kind of,
Absolutely.
you know
And that's one of the things I think people fall down on a lot when put New Year's resolutions is they fail to take into account the time that's going to take to achieve their specific goal. Like if you want to work out more, then you need to set aside the time to do that. It's not just going to magically happen, and you have
Right.
to understand that that's going to take away time from something else. And
Yep.
if you're already a busy person, then that has to be part of the understanding. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if I only have 5 hours a night because that's when I get back from work and when I go to sleep, like if I want to work out for 30 minutes, that means I'm going to have to take away 30 minutes from lounging on the couch or watching TV or cooking, or like I'm going to have to take that time away from something.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
feel like people sometimes don't remember that that's part of the whole process.
Yeah, like your daily schedule has to change.
Mhm.
And yeah. And if you fall off of, the habit for a day, get back on it as soon as possible.
Yeah, get back on that
Because
horse.
it's not that you need to do like a straight line of progress, right? There's going to be dips and it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. Anybody who's lost a ton of weight will tell you that. Like they didn't just like lose weight steadily. They lost some, gained some, plateaued,
Mhm.
like they're all over the
And, like
place with it.
yeah, and, like, we're talking a lot about weight loss because that's a very typical goal that people set for the new year, but this can apply to anything. Like, if you wanna improve your mental health like I do, that means that you have to take time out of your day to meditate, to self-reflect, and, like, go to doctor's appointments. You have and, like, you're gonna improve, you're gonna go backwards, like, it's not just gonna be constant improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first started taking my medication for anxiety and depression, I I loved it for a few months, and then I, like, all of a sudden just had a really hard time, and I was like, "My mood doesn't seem quite as stable as it has been in the past." So, that meant that I needed to take initiative for myself to call my doctor and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on," right? And then they could be like, "Oh, well, let's, either change your dose or try another medication or do whatever they think is right for you in your case," right? But like you need to be the one to take initiative for whatever your goals are to make you the happiest human you can be, right?
Mhm. And so, yeah, that's goals. And I think we're both feeling pretty good about last year, even though last year was a bit of a mess. And looking forward to this year, I think I can say that we're both excited for the new year.
Yes, definitely.
So with that, I guess we'll transition into our silver lining segment. So T, what is making you happy?
So every new year, that means I get a new planner. And I absolutely love my planner. It's very pretty. And it just like really inspires me to get on with planning all of the things so that I can reach my goals for this year.
They're so organized.
Doesn't mean I always use it every week, but it does help me, with my mental health. So I'm just like not worrying about a million things. I can just say, I'm worrying about this, I'm gonna put it in my planner, and then I can go on with my day.
So for me, my thing that has me very excited is very kind of juvenile, but I'm still excited. There is a Splatfest happening 2 weekends from now. For those of you who don't know out there, Splatfests are for Splatoon, which is a Nintendo game on the Nintendo Switch, and it is a worldwide event where everybody competes against one another, and they choose teams and stuff, and it's fun. So it's happening on the 15th through the 17th, I believe.
Yeah, Friday
of
to
January.
Sunday.
Yeah, so it'll be a blast, and I'm very much looking forward to it. You and I are going to kick a lot of butt.
Yeah, we'll see how much energy I have to to play Splatoon.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be lots of fun.
Definitely. So thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find new episodes every other Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We hope you'll continue to listen to us talk about our lives and hopefully learn something about yourselves too. And remember, growing up is overrated.